I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Celldweller New Elysium
for Brian.
Now, there are multiple ways to get your song reviewed, dear listener. My favorite one is the community option. $1 at the gate will get you in at Patreon, where you will meet the amazing Helen Dross, the mighty Ian, the wonderful Pony, the amazing Leah of the village. And then you get to pool your points together.
The amazing, the wonderful.
It's like a Marvel comic situation. Yeah, so then you know, when you're in Patreon, you get certain levels, right? So like the $5 level, you get the first 40 seconds of the song that we're working on with our band, and it's coming along swimmingly. And then the $10 tier, for example, me and the producer are working on an instrumental for the baby. So you get to listen to that. So there's just different like access points and things of that nature. Now, if you're a filthy capitalist like Sori, or you're like the big home, who's this, Brian?
This is Brian.
And you want your song reviewed directly and you don't want to work with an alliance and all that because you don't care about community.
Or you're excited about a song and you want everyone to hear it.
All that. $125 at the gate gets you this. You get to determine for yourself, and then of course you have access to all the perks that I just mentioned, obviously. Send me an email, vinandsori@gmail.com. If you did your $125 through PayPal, that's vinandsorimerch@gmail.com. If you did that and you're not in the Patreon alliances or whatever, but you want to hear the song, anytime there's like a sneak peek with an interview or anything like that, just say, hey, here's where I sent $125, and then you get access to everything. So it's a good deal. Now, let's go. New Elysium, Celldweller, let's go.
Here we go.
voices to the sound. The time has come to Elysium. Dead as oppressor fed by a town. No more dreams are lost in time. No more lives are lost inside. New kingdom come, new will be done. Our voices unified. We are the young, the chosen ones. Voices in unison, the ending has begun. A new kingdom come, a new will be done. Enter into this new Elysium.
Okay.
I'll tell you what.
That's a good one.
This would have been a fun youth group song.
Oh, yeah.
On the bus?
Your kingdom come, your will be done. I never went to a youth group. I heard your youth group, though. You guys had a lot of fun. Like on the buses and stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of varying types of fun on the buses, yes. The good, the bad, the ugly. You know what, though? I look back now and I'm like, you know what? It was teenagers being what did you think was going to happen?
What did you think was going to occur?
You put a bunch of teenagers in a big van that goes way back and you have no adults in the back.
I mean, I'd have been reading my Bible.
You are so full of garbage and nobody believes you. You've already bragged about your escapades.
I have not. I've done no such thing. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. If I was in your crew, I would be reading my Bible in the back. I'd have no interest in y'all.
You'd have had no interest in me? Wow. My, how the tides have changed.
How the tides have changed.
Anyway.
In an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, no sandwich. I might die, dear listener.
No, I got up, I took a shower, I got the baby ready. They don't want to know about all this stuff. Listen, I'm pregnant. I should eat first. I haven't even eaten.
You eat first, second, third, and ninth. Get it? I'm sure it's a lot.
Everybody knew how rude you were. Okay.
I really enjoyed this song.
It was fun. It had a party vibe to it. Then it had some metal in there.
I don't think Korn gets enough recognition for this, but I feel like they started this whole thing. You know, they put the dubstep and all that stuff in it, and the breakdown. That was Korn.
I heard you yelling that, but I didn't really know what that meant.
You know,
yeah.
Like, Korn did that in 2011 with Path to Totality.
Yeah, but I feel like that stuff was in this type of music all along.
You're wrong. Korn was the first one to incorporate dubstep into the metal genre. You know?
But this doesn't sound like metal.
Yeah, it's metal. What do you mean it didn't sound like metal?
It sounds like techno.
Well, they were techno. Unplug the thingamajig.
It seems like it was more techno than it was metal.
There were techno parts in it, but it's still a metal song.
Nope.
What do you mean, no? What's that?
Look, the gent.
That's not a guitar? Did you say degent? It's gent.
Gent, whatever.
Degent.
Well,
degent.
Whatever.
I'm in a mood today.
A mean one.
Yeah, well, I can't find my ring, so I'm pretty upset at you.
But you just said you would have had no interest in me, so why do you have interest in that ring?
Well, I was reading the Bible when I was on the bus, I was saying. Anyway, Korn incorporated the metal and the dubstep in there. But these guys, or this dude, because apparently it's one guy.
That does all this?
Yeah. this guy he's on another level with it. He's really, really enough. And you had bands like, I think Fear Factory had some techno elements and stuff in it. And you know, when I like first heard metal or whatever, I'm like, I thought I came up with the most amazing idea. I was like, man, if they added techno and stuff to...
Oh, really?
Yeah, then like a year later I discovered Rammstein. And it wasn't a very groundbreaking idea at all.
Well, you tried.
So there are bands like Rammstein and that have done techno, and Korn that incorporated dubstep. But this guy had a very, very good balance of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went all over the place.
And it was a sci-fi theme, and so the sci-fi theme...
Sci-fi? What are you talking about?
Oh, the new Elysium.
I just thought this was like a Christian song.
No way. I don't think it's a Christian song at all.
Really?
No. So there's
Hear the young voices in unison. The ending has begun. A new kingdom come. Enter into this new Elysium.
Okay, so there's a movie that's called Elysium with Matt Damon in it. And it was basically this other planet that rich people were able to go to and poor people were not able to go to. So...
Okay, hold on. I'm not even listening to you right now. I was reading Brian's message. He said, a new Elysium, Revelation 21:1. Maybe this is his take on it. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, a new Elysium. At 5:04 in the song, you can almost hear the trumpet sound with the shout of the archangel, rise up from the ground. 1 Thessalonians 4:6-17. By the way, in 2019, Clayton, the one and only member of Celldweller, see, you were right, named his newborn son Orion.
Ha!
We do have an Orion.
We do have an Orion! Yeah, so Elysium was
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah, it was a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And
what does Elysium mean?
It was like the place of the gods or whatever. And so, and that came out in 2013. So I'm pretty sure that influenced his, this song. And it was about people who, you know, they went to another... Humanity is sharply divided between two classes of people. The ultra-rich live aboard a luxurious space station called Elysium, and the rest live a hardscrabble existence on Earth's ruins. So that's the whole, you know, theme to that movie. Mm-hmm. And it looks like he takes that theme and he basically, it looks like the world is like close to ending or whatnot, and they're basically decided to take the young people and send them down to, because look, it says down to Earth, mm-hmm. the one right before it, and then it's the terra firma, faction 13, faction 11, faction 12, all these people who are going to the whatever. Game over, breakout, Jericho. I mean, there are biblical themes in it, but I don't think it's a biblical song.
Interesting.
I think the premise is, you know, maybe the earth is jacked up, yada yada yada. We're the chosen one, voices in unison, the ending has begun. So like, it's the end of the world, and then they're going into this new place, Elysium, to basically escape. I used to read these sci-fi books where, like, you know, the earth is all jacked up and stuff, so everybody had to go to a different planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, when I was young...
The theme is common to you.
Yeah, so that's... Well, as soon as I saw Elysium, it's like, oh, okay, that's what it's about. Because it's you know... Born
of the earth, are we all condemned to hell? We've tried so hard, but we can't save us from ourselves. It, to me, was just a... It was a Christian song!
Well, again, he's using a Christian theme.
And why we've forgotten everything that we're worth?
Yeah.
You know, because everybody, like, there's so many conversations you have with people where they don't realize their value or how much they're worth.
Yeah, there's, honey, there are overlaps.
New kingdom come.
I'm just gonna wait.
Born of dust, and dust we will return.
I'll just wait.
You know, it's okay for two people to talk in the review.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, there are obvious overlaps, especially in Western culture, between what is Christian and what is just, you know, regular secular humanism. There's a lot of overlap there.
Yeah.
So, like, secular humanists believe that human beings have worth and value. The difference, obviously, is you cannot objectively establish human worth and value from a completely secular perspective, which is why we have certain classes of human that we can still dispensed with, whether you're on the right or on the left, because you don't have a basis for objective, across the board, universal human value. But my point is, there's still overlap. Like,
Yeah.
you know, whether you say that we were created from dust, the dust of the earth, which was what the scripture says, or you say that we're created from stardust, which really is the same thing to some degree. It's, you know, so there's overlap, and so a lot of times the songs will use biblical imagery. Like, there's a bunch of biblical imagery in the Terminator, right? You got this guy named John Connor. His name is JC. He's the Messiah figure. Now, you wouldn't say that Terminator is a Christian movie.
No.
It's just that Terminator is a Western movie, and the story of Messiah is is central to, you know, all of Western thought, whether people know it or not. The idea of a chosen one coming to rescue everybody, blah blah blah, but he has to sacrifice himself in order to do so. So, yeah, I saw a lot of this stuff, but I interpreted it from a secular perspective. So, for example, when it says "born of the earth, are we all condemned to hell?" I didn't interpret that as like the eschatological hell. I interpreted it as the hell on earth that happens because we've polluted and destroyed the planet. And that is borne out in the very next word. We've tried so hard, but we can't save us from ourselves. Right? So
yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's
We've very
created
weird
the hell.
because I didn't see it that way at all. But
well, how did you see it?
I told you how I saw it. I thought that it was a song about. I thought it was like a Christian song, "Born of the Earth." Because we came from dust, we were made from the ground, we're born of the earth. Are we all condemned to hell? Because it said in here, destined to die from the moment of our birth. Like, we're on a one-way track. The minute that we're born, we're already headed toward our death.
I mean, you are.
You are too.
I don't know about that. I've been in some situations. one of my partners told me
Can't dodge him forever.
He's like, yo, you can't die, bro. He's like, how in the world? You can't die. It's true. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. So you think...
And then we've tried so hard, but we can't save us from ourselves.
You think this is a Christian song?
No, I don't.
You don't think it's a Christian song?
I did, but I don't anymore.
Not what you were saying before.
Since you've been yelling at me this whole review.
Oh, now here we go. White woman in distress. White woman in distress!
No, I think that, you know, now that you say, and I'm looking at this picture, the album cover.
What clued you in?
I said, wait a minute.
The name of the record is...
Brian, you distracted me from the point.
Well, it can be interpreted from a Christian standpoint for sure.
Yeah. New kingdom come. New will be done.
Look, the traditional understanding of the rapture...
There's a lot of...
The traditional... Okay, so this is something I was looking at, like... Once I got out of the hospital, all I had was my Bible, my Left Behind books, my guitar, and my and radio, right? Well, there used to be this library, and that's how you could access the internet, because I was too broke to have the internet. So there was one time I went to the library, and this guy was talking about the rapture, because I was like obsessed with the rapture. So the traditional rapture is, we're just chilling, talking, da-da-da-da, we're having a good time, I'm chilling with Calendros and all that, and all of a sudden... So it happened, but we decided to come back so to warn you filthy people.
Yeah. You're lucky.
So that's like a traditional understanding of the rapture. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but usually the clothes aren't just like laid, they're like folded. Sometimes they're in a pile, actually.
Sometimes they're in a pile, sometimes.
That's true.
But there's never underwear. There's never bras. It's just a shirt.
Well,
and
yeah,
jeans.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's ever been rosary beads either.
Right, because Catholics are not getting
Right.
rapture. Okay, so that's one understanding of rapture, right? I went to this library one time, and the guy had like this thing, like, oh, I found how the rapture is really going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. You found out how it's really going to happen. So he goes and reads all this stuff, right? He starts talking about all this stuff. And then he starts talking about like Ezekiel's wheel in Ezekiel chapter 1, which he's got like wheel within a wheel circumambulating itself, yada yada yada. And then right below, there's this very like 8-bit, like very bootleg graphic of a spaceship coming down and zapping and then shooting off into the sky. And he was like, the rapture is really going to be us getting a one-way ride on Ezekiel's wheel, which is really a spaceship. So he, did you drop that? God,
well, honey, it pulled.
So annoying.
You just threw it and then it just slid away.
Incompetence.
Like all you had to do was pass it to me.
Freaking legendary.
Why did you have to throw it? But throw everything.
So the guy basically said that the rapture was really just going to be a giant spaceship that was going to come to take all of the Christians and then move us to a different planet.
Yeah.
I think he said Venus or
See,
something.
I would have disregarded any of that. Anything that had to do with spaceships, aliens.
Oh, the minute I saw spaceships, I said,
Oh, really?
I lied. I said, this guy's ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. Ain't gonna be no spaceship. Of course, I'm more apt to believe in the spaceship thing now than the
I just assumed
the traditional rapture idea. I'm much more inclined to believe that something like that would happen. I feel like that is a lot more likely to happen than the traditional rapture understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very, it's always something where I'm like, people discount Ezekiel's wheel as a spaceship or whatever. But go and read the description of Ezekiel's wheel, man. Like, if you were a ancient Near Eastern person and you ran into a spaceship, like, how would you describe it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
Say what you want. Call it crazy, ancient aliens, yada yada. Call it whatever you want. But anyway.
I mean, even, not only just a spaceship, but how would you describe a car?
Right.
Like, there's so many things that if you didn't know anything about them, how would you describe it?
Even the phrase chariots of fire are very interesting to me. Like, this guy's chilling on the earth and then a chariot of fire shows up and takes him off into the sky. Like, say what you want. Go ahead. There's so much of the world we don't know about. I'll tell you what. So my point is, like, I've always been drawn to sci-fi, which is really weird because I never really thought of myself as a sci-fi person. I just think that I loved
I'm the same way. I never thought of myself as that type of person.
I think it's because I love the concept that you could be taken out of this world and moved to somewhere else and get a fresh start. Because we were moving all the time, but we were still on the earth and we still had the same problems. So when I was a kid, I used to be really drawn to these books. And now looking back, I realize, it was a form of escapism to some degree. Like, oh, you get to be on a new planet.
So interesting.
And if you're on a new planet, then you'd have a really new beginning.
It's funny because, like, I also like that stuff, but for different reasons. Mine was always, I was looking for some excitement. Because life was very planned and boring. And
Yeah, I wasn't looking for any excitement. That was our life. Our life was one big giant.
Yeah.
We were afflicted with one exciting event after another. So a new kingdom. So I looked at all that as like human beings were going to say, okay, we're going to do it differently this time. Mm-hmm. We got a chance. We got a new planet. We got a completely new history. Let's take the opportunity to do something new with it and do awesome with it, and boom. And I don't. The medieval conceptions and about what happens in the next world, I'm actually more inclined to look at the sci-fi perspective as to people traveling and things like that as closer to what it's going to be like than the medieval metaphysical idea. Because a lot of it was just metaphysical. You're in a cloud, blah blah blah. Whereas the sci-fi stuff was like you were just mega advanced human beings who were exploring and yada yada yada, and that's what I believe we're going to do. Look, God made us in a physical universe. Jesus rose bodily in a physical perspective, and so we're always going to be physical beings. Mm-hmm. Period. And so, in order for us to, I don't think there's going to be a lot of woo-woo in the next world. I just think there's going to be the ability to do all those things, and we're still going to have scientists in the next world, and we will always have scientists. That's what I said. Like, we're always going to have scientists, and we're not going to have preachers. Because, which I'm not particularly certain that I'm right about that either. But I do think that scientists are going to play a massive role in the next world, and I do think God's going to say, okay, guys, the universe is yours. Go for it. But we're going to have to use wisdom and all the stuff that God gave us. It'd basically be like when he said, you know, be fruitful, multiply, have dominion over the world, yada, yada, yada. What would humanity do in this galaxy, in this universe, if we could do that without sinning, and then nobody would die, so that we would have the accumulated knowledge of so many people? What would that look like? And so that's, those sci-fi books is what it looks like, in my opinion.
I always felt like it was dimensions. Like, I remember like when I first understood, like, you know, 1D, 2D, 3D, you know, stuff like that. So I'm like, and I wondered if there was like more dimensions that we hadn't experienced, or we were never given access to. And so how when those other dimensions open up, we'll be like, oh my gosh, it was like there the whole time. That sort of creepy stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, when you look at quantum physics and everything like that, like, please, man. Some of these people, some of these quantum physicists, they get on Joe Rogan's show. If these dudes would have said this like 200-300 years ago, all the intellectuals would be like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So when you observe it, it leaves, and when you don't, it stays there. And you'd have been wrong. So that's why, like, people, like, I anytime, like, somebody makes a reality claim, I'm very, very, like, hesitant to laugh at it, no matter how crazy it sounds. Because I just think the universe is insane. You know, it's smaller than we can imagine and greater than we realize. And so we have all these stories in the collective consciousness, or the collective unconsciousness, if you're Jungian, whatever. We have all these stories, and I think that there is a composite story that is true. And I think, you know, when you look at the Bible, it's an ancient Near Eastern document, so it's not going to talk about spacecraft and propulsion and all this. It's not going to use language like that, because that's not the emphasis anyway. Like, I think God is like, okay, well, let's get everybody to focus on the main thing. I'm God, and then you're in the image of God. And once humanity has figured out those two premises, and that we should love the God, and then love the people that we're in the image of, then after that we can take off and do what this stuff. That's my belief at this point anyway. So and you're right, there are different dimensions and things like that. So what people call demons or angels or whatever can easily be explained in an interdimensional context. And it's so weird to me, like, I'll be watching Joe Rogan, and these people be like, oh yeah, you know, so like there's a multiverse and blah blah blah. There's no proof for any of that, but people are like really like considering it, and they should. But then they'll try to mock, oh, you believe in angels and demons. It's like, you believe in like multiple universes, you weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, and what is the difference between a being that inhabits the ninth dimension, who's obviously more advanced than we are and more powerful than we are? What's the difference between a being like that and what a person would call an angel? There's no difference. Like, just like I'm saying, like, there's no difference between a stealth bomber and a chariot of fire or whatever. Like, you know, it's like, so I just think that there's a lot more to the world and the universe and theology that we... Yeah,
and it's our biases and stuff that kind of keep us closed off to certain ideas.
Yeah, but open to equally unprovable crazy ideas too.
Yeah.
So, but I love the song, and I love the idea, and I love the little world that it put me in. And the techno was perfect. The dubstep was great. There was a good, you know, metal kind of payoff. It had all the elements, man. I thoroughly enjoyed the song, and I thoroughly enjoyed making this video. What do you give it?
9.8.
I'll give it a 9.8. Very, very good review.
Look at that.
Vin out.
Story out.
Gone.
Enter into that